All right, please excuse you. Okay, moving forward, let's do public safety report. City of PD, America's Finest, come on up.
We're here tonight, and I want to introduce you. Most of you guys know Officer Hesselgesser, who has been our community relations officer for a long time here at Northern Division. We're trying to help him and kind of split up the workload a little bit, so I just want to introduce Officer Holly Tafoya. She's going to be taking over for the Clairemont area, Bayho, University City. So she's going to be helping Larry out on a lot of the issues here within the community. So, and then also tonight we have Officer Eric Wiseman. He is here. We're going to try to bring one of our officers that work in your area each time we have a community meeting to just introduce themselves so you get familiar with names and faces of the officer that are out there patrolling your streets at night, during the day, and handling all the issues. So I will hand this off to Holly so that she can introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Holly, and I've been a police officer a little over 5 years now. I worked Eastern Division before coming here to Northern, and I was actually a CRO over there at Eastern. So I'm now doing it here, so I do have some experience in it. Just wanted to kind of talk to you, just some of the trends that's been going on. We've had some residential burglaries, and we want to make sure that you're aware of this. So on the 26th, February 26th, over at 4500 Barnhurst Place, there was a person that approached the victim and said they worked for the city with the water and they needed to check all of her water lines. So he went inside and started checking the water lines, and there happened to be somebody else inside the house, which he wasn't aware of, the suspect, and they kind of spooked him and he left the residence. But when they further checked the house, they saw that the front door was wide open, and they think another suspect also entered that house to burglarize the house. So we had that, and then kind of along lines with that, on the 2nd of this month, there were 2 burglaries. Both were the same MO, so the suspect, and I just want to put out his description so you guys kind of know what to look for. He was a Hispanic male adult, about 25 to 35, about 5'8" to 5'11", 225 pounds, and he was wearing a blue shirt with a white emblem on his breast that said "City" on it. So that's what he was wearing, and he'll approach the house, say he's from City Pest Control, and needs to take some measurements in the back for traps and that. So he'll ruse the victims to come out of their house and go into the back and kind of help with the measurements. So as that's happening, another suspect is entering the house and burglarizing the house, taking items worth jewelry, money, whatever you can find, and then they leave. So we've got 2 detectives working on this pretty hard. Any angle that they can find, they're working it. If you're not on nextdoor.com, I encourage you to get on it. I do put up updates. I put this one up there and encourage, if you see anything, if something like this you actually see in progress, to call 911 or the 531-2000 and say it's in progress so that we can get an officer out there.
Okay, yeah, a person can run, that's on the board, can run for an office, but no board member, chairperson, or committee member who becomes a candidate for any public office may use resources or events of the council to promote themselves. Their political affiliation or preference, you get the idea, or their cause for a candidate, etc. A person who is elected should not be allowed to continue as a board member. We think that's only fair too. So that is what, and like I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are voting as a general assembly. If you guys are okay with that, Ryan, how do we proceed with that?
The bylaws state that we do like the first reading, the first month that we introduce it.
Okay.
And then get input from the membership.
That makes sense.
And then the next meeting would be when we would vote on it.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so the director districts. So this might be a little small to see on the screen, but on the left-hand side you have what the current districts look like. And this argument or proposal came out of the idea that what we wanted to do is kind of correlate our director districts more to the beat beat map for the San Diego PD because we felt they were more correct in terms of geography for the communities and the neighborhoods that are in Clairemont. So that is how we ended up with the proposed map. So this might be a little easier to see. Yeah, this is the current map. And as you can see, the south kind of looks a little funky. This is the beat map. And then this is what we were proposing. So are there any comments or suggestions or input on this? Yes.
Does this person need to live in those boundaries, or not necessarily?
The bylaws state that for the director districts, you have to reside, own a business, or have like a general interest in that area. For example, like if you have kids and they go to a certain, like a school in that area.
So the question is this going to mix up anybody that's currently known?
No.
No, we're lying. Nice.
Nope.
Good then. Good.
Okay.
Ryan,
Yes.
the main intention was it made sense to match the police beats for a lot of public safety issues.
So going forward, one of the things we want to be able to do is align that crime mapping that Holly presented earlier to overlay that with our current districts that will help us from a neighborhood watch standpoint, have a better tactical response to crime prevention and awareness, things like that.
All right. Any other suggestions, comments, questions on this? All right. So yeah, we will vote on that, or vote on these at the next meeting next month. My report is we have 2 director-at-large vacancies on the council right now. Unfortunately, our historian, Simone Enriquez resigned last month, so her position is vacant. As far as being a director-at-large, the board voted at our last meeting to appoint Janet Poutre as our CTC historian, but she didn't want to take a position on the board, so she's the historian for the council, but that's just like a non-voting position on the board, so it doesn't necessarily count for quorum or whatever, but she's graciously accepted that position. And she couldn't be here tonight, but she emailed me saying that she's looking for the community's help in collecting historical stuff for Clairemont, and if you can, email her or call her at 619-800-6397 if you need to get in touch with Janet if you have any historical documents or pictures or information either about the council or the Clairemont community to add to our historical record, because we're posting a lot of this stuff on our website as well. So we have comprehensive history of the community and the town council on the website. But other than that, if you're interested in joining the board, we've got 2 positions open. They're director-at-large positions, so it doesn't matter where you live in Clairemont. We would love to have you. For garden tour, Kylie sent me this. Okay. 19th annual Clairemont Garden Tour, Saturday, May 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Advance tickets will be available at ClaremontOnline.com beginning April 1st for $15 general tickets, $12 for seniors. Prices increased to $20 for general tickets and $15 for seniors on May 1st and 2nd. As Richard said, this is the CTC's biggest fundraiser of the year, so we hope all of our members will either volunteer or help to buy tickets for the tour. We're really looking for volunteers, so if anybody's interested in volunteers, we need about 30 on the day of to make it a successful event. So if you can, email Kylie at gardentour@ClaremontOnline.com, or you can give her a call at 619-885-3941. Outside of that, does anybody have any questions on the garden tour?
So Ryan,
Yes.
So I'm Lynn Little, and I'm also on the garden tour committee, and I have the great luck of being the one who gets to pick the gardens, which is a really good job. And we've got probably 12 gardens that are back and front yard, and 2 more that are front yard only. And we've got some repeats from 10 years ago that are just those kind of spectacular gardens that you can't believe exist. And we have a mix of, we've got some edible gardens, we've definitely got some water-wise gardens, but they're pretty, you know, so one of the things we want to show people is you can be water conscious and not have sticks in your front yard. So we got, and we're going to have a lot of different exhibits at each of the garden venues. So there might be a master composter, there might be a band, there might be artists. So it's going to be a fun event, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I hope you'll all come along. Thanks.
Awesome. Again, any questions or comments?
Yes, I also have at our garden meeting, we're going to make up new banners, and we don't know how much they're going to cost yet, but when we find out, we'll have to get a hold of Jack, see if we have that much money in the treasurer. All right, we'll know more next month. Thank you.
Well, we should be able to afford banners. I mean, we're not spending $15,000 on banners, right?
As it was pointed out to me, we're having an all-day election at the Clairemont Community Planning Group. That's the group that's sponsored by the City of San Diego. We make recommendations. I sit on that board. We make recommendations to the city based on the feedback from the residents in Clairemont about projects, whether they're cell phone towers, in and out burgers, the height limitation. It's a very active group. I enjoy serving on that group for a couple of reasons. One is I can have an impact on the community. Number two, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's not involved. We can't really talk about anything outside the meeting because it's a public meeting and a public event. We do have openings on the planning board, and if you've attended a couple of meetings and you have an interest in the Clairemont area, whether it's a home or, as Ryan mentioned, any other type of general interest or a business, you're eligible to sit on the board, and we do have vacancies. Yes?
So the planning group, in the Clairemont Town Council, you've divided up various different directors here by area to make sure there's broad representation.
Yes.
But it seems that the planning group has no such areas.
That's correct.
That doesn't seem right, does it?
Well, I understand you don't think it seems right.
I
very
think
clear.
that it would be better if there was a wide representation,
But we actually do have wide representation in the members that sit on the board.
but that's only an accident. It's not because you built that into the structure of how your board works.
Correct. The
So-
board represents the entire geographic area mapped out.
I understand.
Yeah.
How would I make a recommendation that the planning group have decide to have people from various
You
areas?
send me an email, I'll send you Jeff Barfield's email address, and he'll let you know how to approach that.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, Yes. just to recap, what does the planning group do? They don't formulate issues, they
We respond to issues.
respond to issues.
We're brought plans for development. For example, a gas station is going to be remodeled over here at Mount Alafan in Balboa. They bring the plans to our board and present them so that we have the community alerted to what's going on, so the residents in the area are aware of it, and then we're able to then make a recommendation based upon the citizens' feedback to the city. We don't have any authority, we just make a recommendation. There are cell phone towers that are being added on to all the time here over at the church here on Clairemont Mesa Boulevard. Over here in Mount Alafan, we have all sorts of recommendations and requests, and we take that information and we present it to the citizens, and then we get their feedback so that we can make a recommendation about what you want happening in the community. Does that help?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask you that because it may or may not call for a geographical division of that group. I don't know.
Well, quite frankly, I don't think you'll find the geographical division would be effective, as Richard's saying, because everything we deal with goes anywhere from Bayho all the way up to the north end of Clairemont.
I'll make my argument to Jeff.
There you go.
I love it. And my recommendation is that you'd actually have more argument if you were sat on this side of the table at the planning board. I'd love to see somebody screaming. So we need that. With the In-N-Out Burger, we had 400 people at our meetings.
Yeah,
And it can be very fun and very wild.
yeah.
Well, how long is it taken to get a representative from each area
Right.
It's also done for a different purpose.
No, I understand, and I agree with you. I don't agree with you. I think take who you can get.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Government works too.
That is not government work. Any questions about the planning board?
So what avenue do you use to let the citizens know what's going on?
The planning board has a mailing list, which also includes the Clairemont Town Council, and so we're emailing things out all the time. If you'd like to be added to that mailing list, you can email the town council, and they'll get it to us. You can email me, or you can email Jeff Barfield at the.
I really want Clairemont to have some beacon. I mean, this, I'm getting personal now, but I really want to bring this community together with something that's tangible.
Well, and you had an idea about a sign, for example.
You know how Hillcrest and University Heights and North Park, wouldn't it be great, like a Genesee Balboa, if we had a Clairemont sign?
There we go.
I mean, but I'm on a border in a way.
Well, I like that idea, and that's something, for example, that would come to the board, the planning board.
Well, let me go further. I even told Steve that one day I'd like to see the planning board merge with the town council, but now I'm really out of line.
So if that was going to happen, we couldn't talk about it because of the ground.
Okay.
We can talk about it here because we're not under the ground.
Correct. Any other questions about the planning board? Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think more than anything, I just wanted to come back and make sure that I said goodbye to everybody. You guys met Holly Tafoya. She's going to be your new CRO. It's been a pleasure for me to be your CRO, your community relations officer. I'll move away from the speaker, maybe that'll help. But I'm going to ensure that you can hear me. I'm going to ensure that Holly has a smooth transition and continues on with projects that we were starting. Steph and I were trying to get your neighborhood watch going more solid, and Holly is going to be instrumental in that, and she's got experience doing this, and I'm going to be in the same office as her. Even though I'm on the west side of the freeway, she's going to be on the east side of the freeway. We share the same office. We share our positions and talk about things and that. So I'm going to make sure that everything continues, make sure that we try and get that neighborhood watch going. As University City, just north of you, is really rock and rolling on Neighborhood Watch. So, I know we want to. That's a project that you're. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the impact of that University City Neighborhood Watch having on crime in that area? Can you give us some examples of how it's working?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't have specific numbers, but I do know that the communication that we have through Neighborhood Watch and through Nextdoor, and that information getting back to us is really instrumental in solving crimes and making sure that the criminal element stays out of there.
So it's working for you?
Yeah.
Last kickoff meeting over at Mount Etna back on January 23rd, and since then we had 270 new residents join Neighborhood Watch.
That's awesome.
Adriana Inlow, again, she's our Neighborhood Watch coordinator for Clairemont. We've actually liaised with the National Neighborhood Watch organization out of Virginia. So we're using them as kind of the footprint to kick off Neighborhood Watch, joining with University City. So get on board. Neighborhood Watch is going to have a new website. It's going to have everything's going to be driven through Nextdoor. So any information that you need or want, you can find at ClaremontOnline.com. Any questions, comments, answers, suggestions?
When is your next meeting?
That's one of those things that we're still coordinating, and we have to figure out the geographic area that we want to have another kickoff. And we're really trying to recruit more captains, because once we get the captains in place, they will actually have the block meetings, which is where we can invite, the Hollies or even special guests. Larry Hesselgesser is there, and they can speak from that point of view. So the more captains we have, the more heavier concentration by neighborhood, by block we can have. Yes?
What's this Nextdoor thing that came up on my computer a couple days ago? Good for you.
Nextdoor.com is a social media platform used by neighbors and neighbors only to communicate next door issues or community-related issues. It's just a faster way to get information across. It's a faster way to get information in real time versus waiting for the 10 o'clock news or waiting for the newspaper to show up. It's just real-time data, real-time information.
So a real small geographic area too.
And it's real small geographic area. Generally, it's 2 or 3 blocks surrounding your specific address. So that way, you know when you get that information, it pertains to you and your very closest neighbors within, you know, a 4 to 5 block radius.
Yeah, then I lived in North Bay Hall and I lived south of Balboa.
I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that. But the beautiful thing is you are getting information. So although it's information that may not pertain to south of Balboa, it does pertain to your general area. And again, most of that information is, you know, it crosses lines. So
And if he signs up for it, you can always sign up for it and look at it. If you don't think it's relevant to you, you can then unsubscribe to it.
Yeah.
And that would be a good idea for you, so you can test those waters.
And just if you're not comfortable with that, North Clairemont Library also has a resource there. Eileen, she helps with a lot of social media navigation for people here in our community. So that's always a great resource for you as well.
Hello everybody, so I see a few new faces, so I'll introduce myself again. I'm Jesus Martinez. I am the student representative on the board and I'm a junior at Clairemont High School. So a few things first pertaining to the school. We finished out our girls wrestling season and it was a huge success. We had our heavyweight go to state, so she placed second in CIF. She went to state, which was last weekend, and she placed fifth in the state of California. First girl in the history of Clairemont to place at state to win CIF, so that's really exciting for us.
What's her name?
Stephanie Maldonado. So I know if you look up like girls state championships or girls wrestling state championships, her name shows up in a Union Tribune article, which is really exciting for us, you know, because it's the first time that we've had anything close to a girls wrestling team. So we're shooting for a full team next year.
Can you invite her for next week?
Oh yeah, definitely will. Okay, so school, moving on. Many of you, I don't know if anybody went, show of hands, anybody went to the Movies in the Park event last summer? Okay, so we are going to be hosting 3 events this next summer, and I am happily the chairperson for that. So more information to follow on that as far as movies, flyers, and you know all the information will be, if you're on our mailing list, it'll be emailed to you, and we'll have flyers soon to follow. Another thing, a few months ago, Miss Jan over here told everybody that I'm going on a college trip over spring break, and she was, you guys were all very generous to offer me financial help, so I just wanted to say what I did with that. I used it to finish off paying the $400 fee to go on the college trip, so I'm really excited about that. We'll be touring 10 universities throughout California, and hopefully I'll find out where I want to go in a year and a half's time. And yeah, I think that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
It's Hillary here from Marty Block's office. Hillary, there you go.
Hi there, I'm Hillary Nemzik from Senator Marty Block's office. Just wanted to share a very brief legislative update from our office. As you may or may not know, Friday was the close of the legislative deadline, so all legislators have introduced their full slate of legislation for the year. And down, okay. We're excited to have introduced a whole host of bills focusing on a lot of the issues that the Senator has a history of championing, including human trafficking, public safety, senior care, and advocacy for seniors. I'm just going to highlight 2 bills that you might be interested in from our slate. SB 298 expands wiretapping authority to law enforcement in investigations of significant money laundering activities, oftentimes related to organized crime and human trafficking. So this is another example of Senator Block advocating on behalf of survivors of human trafficking and trying to hold the perpetrators of these heinous crimes accountable. Another bill I want to highlight is SB 352. And this bill is going to protect victims of elder abuse by allowing them to use post-conviction orders of protection. And this is currently something that victims of domestic violence and stalking can use. This bill will allow victims of elder abuse to also use these as well. I've brought with me our newsletter. We're in the process of updating it, so next month we'll have a more comprehensive newsletter with all information on all of the new legislation. And I also wanted to make a brief announcement. I'm sadly going to be moving on from Senator Block's office. I've only been there a short time, but I am a Clairemont resident and also a member of the town council independently, so I'll be here at the meetings with my Clairemont civilian cap on. So it's been a great pleasure working with you, and depending on the transition process, I may be here for the next meeting, but regardless, this group is a priority for Senator Block's office, and so we will have representation, and someone will be here meeting with you and sharing updates and helping you with any meetings you have on state level.
Thank you so much. Again, Alan Young here with Councilman Chris Cate's office, Councilman for District 6. I just have a couple of things I wanted to update you on. The councilman was actually able to, just this past week, present a transfer of CPPS funding, city funding, to several Clairemont libraries. We were able to transfer almost $11,000 to North Clairemont Library and Balboa Library for them to be able to buy facility-related things, such as new work desks, new chairs, just facility updates that the libraries have been in desperate need of for some time. And after that was announced, we actually got a surprise from San Diego Library Foundation, which announced that they would match dollar for dollar what we were able to transfer into the libraries.
Excellent.
And so what they're doing is, our funding would go towards facility updates. Their match dollars would go towards library programs. So, for example, at the North Clairemont branch, some of that funding will go to expanding their youth sign language programs, and some of the other libraries will have after-school programs and things like that the Library Foundation is going to be able to help with those match dollars. So we're really excited about that. And then also, just one more update, Councilman Cate is now on Nextdoor. We're actually the first elected official office to be on Nextdoor. So I just want to encourage everybody to, if you're not already, sign up on Nextdoor and follow us. We're going to be we're going to be monitoring that website and updating the community pretty frequently. So make sure you're on that and stay connected. Otherwise, that's about it. I actually have one thing. It's a certificate. Back in January, we had certificates for all the new board members, and there was a mistake on Steph's certificate. So we made the change, and we even framed it. Well, thank you. To make up for it. So thank you so much. Thanks.
I have seen some buzzing back and forth.
Hi everyone, my name is Kath Rogers.
Hello.
This microphone is loud. I'm the operations director for a nonprofit called Climate Action Campaign. And, go in front?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, okay, all right, that's better. And I was here at the Clairemont Town Council back in 2012. I was actually talking to you about human trafficking. I don't know how many of you were here at that meeting, but the Clairemont Town Council voted to endorse. It was a campaign to help combat human trafficking. Today I'm here, totally unrelated, but also a very important issue, which is our city's climate action plan. Our organization is called Climate Action Campaign. As I said, we're a new organization. Myself and Nicole Capretz are the co-founders, and our goal is to basically help implement the city's climate action plan, which is currently in draft form. It was released by the mayor late last year, and so I'm going to go into the details of the climate action plan with you. And I know this has been, everyone's been here for a while, so I'll try to just give you the Cliffs Notes version, and then I can go into any questions that anyone may have in more depth after the presentation.
Our mission of our organization is simple. It's to stop climate change, and we are a local organization. We're focused here in San Diego. And our goals are to help cities, specifically here in San Diego, pass climate action plans. And climate action plans are comprehensive documents that deal with our climate impact here in San Diego. Eventually, we may expand beyond San Diego to some of the cities around San Diego because we have such a strong model for this. Right now, we're at our highest carbon dioxide levels in human history. Carbon dioxide is, of course, what contributes to global warming. Scientists thought that we would be in trouble when we hit the 350 mark. That's 350 parts per million. That was kind of when scientists thought we would be concerned and start to see really severe health, public health, and also serious concerns in terms of global problems. Now we're at 400, so scientists are very concerned.
These are some figures by 2050 if current trends stay the same. So if our carbon output remains the same, if all climate change factors stay the same, sea level will be 12 to 18 inches higher in 2050. These statistics are from San Diego Foundation. San Diego Foundation has put in a lot of work funding local scientists to do this kind of research. So these statistics are taken from them. So the purposes, now I'm going to get into, I just kind of went over the problem just to give some context, but now I'm going to get into our city's draft climate action plan, which is what I'm here to talk about. Now the purposes of the climate action plan are to cut the city's carbon footprint, to mitigate and reduce our impact on global climate change. And what I think is the most important is bullet point number 3, which is that this plan is legally binding. So it's not just kind of a feel-good document. It actually, these goals that are set out in the plan actually have teeth. They actually will become effective policies. It's not just a plan that won't have any impact. It actually will have some positive impact. So in terms of where our contribution to carbon comes from, this is where it comes from here in San Diego. This chart is local, it's not statewide. The statewide figures would look different than this, but most of it, as you can see, comes from transportation, which basically means cars. Now, the other natural gas and electric, that's from heating and cooling our homes mainly. So there's 5 main strategies addressed in the Climate Action Plan. Energy and water efficiency. That's kind of the first level that is focused on in the plan because, of course, if you can make things more efficient, you use less of it. So that's obviously the first step. And then clean and renewable energy, walking, biking, and transit, so creating policies and goals specifically to encourage that. Zero waste, and then lastly, climate resiliency. That's the part of the plan that's probably, there wasn't as much funding to develop that part of the plan as much. So the city has talked about maybe coming out with more on the issue of climate resiliency, climate adaptation. And some of the co-benefits, so even one of the things that I try to focus on is for a long time there's kind of been this idea that doing things that help the environment are somehow bad for business. And this plan and a lot of the renewable industry that we have now is showing that that's the opposite of the case, that in fact addressing global climate change is an economic necessity, and it can actually spur a lot of job growth, and it can spur a lot of economic development that actually helps real people. So some of the co-benefits of this plan are going to be cost savings, because obviously when we make things more efficient, that's not only better for the environment, but it's better for dollars and cents. Creating jobs, improving public health, because when we have less air pollution, of course, it's easier to breathe. Economic opportunity and increased quality of life, because people come to San Diego for our clean beaches, for our clean air, for our healthy environment, and of course we want to preserve that. So this is a look at some of San Diego's, or some of the climate plan's goals for how San Diego's commute would change. Now, as I showed you, that transportation, cars, make up a big portion of our carbon emissions. So some of the goals are to increase people biking, increasing people walking, increasing access to public transportation. And if we can meet those goals, we will significantly reduce our carbon emissions, but we'll also provide people access to buses, to trains, to more walkable streets, more bikeable streets, which is a good thing for communities. So one of the ways that these goals will actually translate into effective policy is that when we have these goals for how many bike lanes we want to see or how many people we want to see walking to work, when we set those goals and they're legally binding, that means that the funding priorities will change, that we will invest in bike lanes, we will invest in sidewalks, we will invest in transit. And that's how San Luis Obispo established, it's probably one of the best in the nation, their biking infrastructures, because they set really ambitious goals and then they funded those goals. They made sure that that actually translated into real change. Now, so I just talked about the transportation goals. Now I'm going to move on to the clean and renewable energy because that's the other big piece of this plan.
What 2 counties up north have done is a program called Community Energy or Community Choice Energy. And the way it works is basically it allows the city to purchase power on the city's behalf. So the city decides how to purchase this energy. So rather than having SDG&E not only maintain the lines and things like that, but also purchase energy, that it takes that power and gives it to the city. And then we can purchase more renewable energy and actually lower rates for consumers. And what the 2 counties who have done this up north, it's Marin and Sonoma County, they've actually lowered their energy rates, not by a lot, but every little bit counts. And they've also increased renewable content significantly. And that's because it's a public agency that's doing this, so there's not a profit motive. So they can actually take those funds and invest those, give them back to people, and invest them back in the community.
A lot of the comparisons that I saw in your presentation, like with San Luis Obispo and then it's great that they're doing this, but those places, just by population, by demographics, very drastically from San Diego. They're very small, out of them pretty homogeneous. So I'm just wondering if you have any larger cities or larger counties for comparison for this as well.
So we would be a lot larger than Sonoma and Marin counties in terms of our community choice program. So we would be setting a precedent for the whole state, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do is be a leader in the state, and then hopefully other cities will do it too, just by example. And of course, there are other cities that are looking at it, and they're kind of in the same process we are, where maybe they're studying it or they're doing feasibility studies or something like that. I mean, it would be great if we could be first out of the gate, in terms of big cities to do it. Other cities have done similar interesting things, like LA has municipal energy, which is even, community choice is kind of a middle ground between investor-owned utility and then municipal energy. So it's kind of a middle ground where LA is all the way in municipal energy. So that's kind of an interesting program that they have. I don't think that we have the political will for that. I don't think that it would be so anyway, we would be the first big city in California, but there are other big cities in other states doing it.
Do you have numbers for how that's working in LA? Sorry, follow-up question.
Well, it's working well in terms of rates, but they still have, I've heard that they have a lot of energy produced by coal and things like that, so we would be trying to do a much more clean model.
Yeah, so you're not really dealing with all the people that have a panel on their home, because like our bill is only like $40 a month with this new increase that's gone up before. So it wouldn't make any sense for us to have, to purchase a solar system for our home.
That's a great question. So right now, there's not a lot of incentive for people to put solar on their homes because you're not going to be paid for that energy. So for example, if you create more energy than you use, and you feed that into the grid and your neighbors can use it, you don't get paid. Whereas if we had community choice energy, we can do a lot of those really neat programs because it's a public agency that's in control now. So we would say we want local solar. So we want to incentivize you to get a solar panel on your roof And even if you only use $40 a month in energy and then you feed some into the grid, you might be able to get either paid actual money or you could get a reduction in your bill. But right now, why would SDG&E give you that? You know, it's not their business model. I'll put it that way. It's just a different, when it's a public agency and there's a different incentive there, it's creates different opportunities.
Those are all the questions about how we come up with the energy, but the real thing I see here is to reduce the amount of energy we use. I'd really like to see the city get way more involved in getting people on foot and on bicycles, and made a lot of great increases. We're both major bicycle advocates and do a lot of things to get people on bicycles. But how new is this? I mean, is this all still coming together? I mean, it's going to amplify our city's bicycle and walking plan?
Yes. Yeah, it's going to very, very dramatically impact or positively impact our city's biking and walking plan. But these are just the goals. So once we get these goals to be legally binding, then the city council will create ordinances rather to meet those goals, if that makes sense. So these are kind of the high-level goals.
It takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah,
it's always slow. It's always slow.
So I'm confused. I don't understand how you're going to bypass Senator Gas Electric for your business to proceed on with your type of plans.
Well, it would be a city council vote, basically, is the process. So there's first the studies to do it, then it would go through committee at the city, and then city council would vote on it. And the city would basically form an agency, and there's state law which allows the city to do that. So because it's kind of a product of deregulation, I guess you could say, because it takes the generation of energy and separates it from distribution of energy. And so it allows the city to do that, and there's state law which allows it. I guess that's the short answer.
You will utilize San Diego Gas Electric's current telephone wires?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So the San Diego Gas Electric's current wires, the whole grid stays the same, and San Diego Gas Electric continues to maintain all the pipes and wires, everything. So they would still maintain all that. It's just that the city controls who to buy the energy from.
Quick, because I know we're past how long you guys normally go. I'm with the What Price Main Street Coalition, which is the neighborhood coalition that opposes the One Paseo development up in Carmel Valley. Can I see by a show of hands who's heard of this controversy? Okay, pretty good, better than I expected. So, to make it really quick, what's going on with this development? We are not against the development. That's a common misconception. We want the development. We need the development dollars in San Diego. We need the jobs. That's all fine and dandy. The problem with this is two problems. One, the obvious one, is that they're trying to put in a mall development the size of UTC in terms of square footage on 1/3 the acreage, and the infrastructure in Carmel Valley absolutely cannot support this. You've got, if anyone's ever driven through the 56-5 junction, it's pretty insane traffic as it is. So developers are putting in some local infrastructure. They've been somewhat responsible with that, but they're not updating that, and there's really no public transit there. So between those two things, it's a mess. More importantly, in my personal opinion, is this is setting a precedent of developers essentially inventing their own zoning codes and updating or amending community plans with these zoning codes, and there's 3 planning committees in that part of town that have voted against this and have disagreed with this. And the Planning Commission did not agree with it, and the San Diego City Council still voted to approve it. And this is becoming a very disturbing pattern in San Diego. The same thing happened obviously with Barrio Logan. I understand there's similar things going on here with the height limit. So we have a lot of issues with these planning committees are only as good as the city is willing to listen to them. So we're trying to, what I'm here to do is we're trying to put this on the ballot, which is a way to overturn a city council vote. And if this starts happening, we can actually get the city to pay attention to what the people on the ground want. Because what tends to happen is the city council member from that community will vote against something like this because obviously it's bad for their community. But that's okay because they got 8 other city council members that they can lobby to vote for it, and they only need 5. It's not in their community. Say, hey, jobs, development, which are things we need invariably. So, Yes, okay. So I guess that's really all I have. I have petitions if anybody would like to sign them. You do have to be a registered voter in San Diego, in the city of San Diego. And if you're not registered to vote, I'll be glad to register you. I have voter registration cards. Thank you, Ryan.
Fourth year with this electric bicycle introduction seminar I give, and the next one will be May 28th, and it really fits into what was her name? Kat was saying, to get people on bicycles, and when you have an electric assist bicycle, it's much easier. So May 28th, I get a full house now, they serve a full dinner, so I'll get more information, but you need to pre-register now because the full room is filled up with almost 200 people. But there's 40 or 50 e-bikes to check and try out. I gave a report on how successful the last one is. This will be my fourth year doing this now. The balance of interest has to do with the fact that this event is at the SDG&E Innovation Center. I can't help that, but they allow it to go on. It's free. They kind of fund it. It's free for everybody. But it's a great way to learn about electric assist bicycles. So you can park your car, do a lot of your neighborhood stuff, and get to work on a bicycle. And as you were saying, and we already know that the city is working really hard on getting our bicycle infrastructure safer and better, more towards the downtown area, but it's working here. They have plans to put in full bike lanes all the way down Balboa, including bike sensors. So for your friends, your relatives, yourselves, consider coming to this introduction to electric bicycles, May 28th. It's a great way to learn more about them and decide if it is in your future. They're great for kids. They don't want to drive so soon. They're great for commuters that don't want to waste the energy and get all stressed out in traffic. They're great for the senior citizens that just want to go out and do something. And they're also great for people that have weaknesses in recovering from illness. May 28th. Okay. All right, Bob.
All right, real quick, May 17th, Clairemont Planning Board meets here at 6:30 p.m., but the elections for Clairemont Planning Board are all day over at Live Well San Diego, which is Genesee and Bannock. If you're interested in being on the board, we're going to be hopefully interviewing candidates at our next board meeting, March 26th, 6:30 p.m. At the library right over here at Cadman. And then our next general meeting is April 2nd. We've got Dan McAllister, who's the county property tax guy, and then
SDPOA, San Diego Police Officers Association, and Neighborhood Watch.
Yes, and then hopefully we'll try to get you for UCAN as well.
UCAN, yeah.
Yes, okay. Other than that, we're done.
Major.
Oh, wow. Good.